I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Yes. I was told who was coming, but I forgot your name already.
I'm Heather Moore.
Heather Moore, okay. And John. So, John, do you have anything?
Oh, well, besides the things some of the things that are on the agenda, how's the situation looking for any police coverage at night? Because Friday and Saturday, no, I think it was Thursday and Friday night was awful here on the main street.
Mm-hmm.
Four-wheelers tearing up and down the street, going four abreast with no lights on.
I've got pictures and Andre has the pictures now.
Yeah.
Had somebody send me the pictures and we're trying to figure out who they are because you can't tell who they are when you got pictures from.
And it's a yellow, because it stands out as a yellow four-wheeler.
Yep.
And you don't see many yellow ones.
Right, and there's a three-wheeler too.
Yeah,
Like the
there's a
same
I can tell you where they're
mixed
coming
into
from
it,
after
yeah.
the meeting.
They're coming from, we know where.
Okay.
Andre knows where, he's
Okay.
going down to talk to him.
It looked like I saw him on Friday going down Main Street like crazy.
Yeah.
It looked like he had a rough day.
They know.
No, his
Oh.
his bumper was banging against the guardrail. It was flopping off.
It's been that way for a little while. He lost it up on Hazel's Notch.
But yeah, no, I did, someone sent me pictures and I turned around and sent them on to, showed Andre and then sent them to him.
I will say, on our end of things, when we've had accidents in the middle of the night and they have not been any coverage in town, we just give Andre a call and he'll come from his home from Montgomery
Yep.
to help us out. Cause we had a accident that involved railroad and he was right there, so.
Yeah.
He even did the same thing for us for a medical call when we needed it. He actually came from home to help, because he told us law enforcement was gonna be over 30 minutes out.
Yeah.
So they're helping us.
Yeah, they are putting a big effort in, so.
Yeah, Andre's only one person though.
Yeah, and they just did another bus today down in Enosburg.
Oh yeah, I heard something.
But is the sheriff's office giving you any hopes that they're gonna be able to
They're hoping
furnish
to,
us with
did we
any
get all
coverage?
that?
Last we heard, I heard it was summer, maybe.
They're still short staffed.
They're still short
Yeah, and
staffed.
I think that's what Andre said last meeting
Yeah.
too.
They have some new people, but they want the new people to kind of go along with them, so they're learning the ropes and stuff and like with someone like Andre, that type of thing. So that's what they're doing, they're out of the academy, they're in training still to learn the
And
ropes
I
here
also
in town.
think too, Michael and I are gonna work on some grants to look at, some better security cameras.
And that'll help too.
Anything else, John?
No, I guess the other stuff that will be on the agenda, or I do have for the revolving loan committee, I don't know if you wanna talk about that now or later on.
Sure.
You talk about, yeah?
As you mentioned before, so you all know that the ambulance ambulance department is requesting a loan for the revolving
For the
loan.
bed.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I think he may have two there, you can get one too.
I got one for you too.
Alright.
There you go. There you go.
I guess I got one.
Yeah, two here, alright.
Any discussion on this?
I met with them and basically they approved it and
Any questions on it from anyone else? No. Okay. All right, you got the comments, John, on that?
No, it was fine with the committee and,
Romina, you have anything you want to bring to the table?
Well, no, on this, you probably need to vote on it for the,
oh yeah, that's right.
yeah,
for the original.
you guys have to approve it, and
Right.
we recommend it, but you need to
Yes, we're
approve it.
recommending
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Then you have to approve it or say no and,
Right, and because myself and Andy, when we see the ambulance, do we have to accuse ourselves from that?
well, I think it's a case of and Alan's on the board, anything, if you start recusing yourselves,
That's true.
then you're not gonna have a quorum
I mean,
to-
I'm not gonna profit off it by any means.
No, me
Right.
neither, if anybody, the town does,
Yeah.
Right.
so, and the insurance company, we don't need to use when something bad happens.
And it's basically the town loaning itself money.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
So in this case, I would think that
should be okay.
it'd be okay that you could offer you.
then I'll make a motion.
Okay, there's,
No, second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
So I'm just random question, so even if Alan's on the committee, would you still recuse yourself from the vote, even though it's, or,
Well, he would,
you know? Okay, I was just asking.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Right, yeah.
you know.
You have anything?
I just wanted to follow up with, while I throw it out there again, if the town crew could add any capacity sometime this spring to come up with the day that, to work on the bank that's behind the post office.
I had brought it up to Slim after the last meeting, and he said that's technically Ave Maria's property on the top, once you get to the top of the bank. So it took me until last Friday when I happened to call on Lauren Doe, and he gave us permission to do, so we will get on it.
Okay.
Is it something you wanna be there when they do it?
Well, I'm willing to help out on it and stuff, but it's just, you know, the big trees and stuff, we can't really.
Are you looking to uproot them and, or just cut them flush with the ground and? I mean, I don't know what you, cause I mean, some of those are just weed trees, right?
Right,
So, I mean, I guess it's like what you're looking to, how far are you willing to go, wanting to go? Cut them flush with the ground would be good?
yeah, I think,
So,
probably at this time, and then
Alright,
we
so
can
I'll-
get some plantings in between there and, you know, really
Alright.
spruce that up.
yeah, so like I said, I just met with Lawrence and he gave us the full blessing, so I'll talk to Jason again and we'll see if we get a time to, what's your best availability?
Well, I can be available during the week if need be. and
Okay.
stuff.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know if yeah, I'll talk to Jason and if he wants you to flag out what you want gone,
Okay.
maybe that would work too. You can just
Okay.
put some orange tape or something on it.
Okay,
But yeah, I'll follow up.
Okay.
and then the other was, I just wanna follow up with you, Andy, in regards to the bonfires that they've been having down here by the river.
Yes.
That's something I'm understanding that, I don't think the property owner, is that town land or
Yes,
is
it
that?
is.
Some of it's town land, some
Some
of
of
it's more Greenwoods.
Yeah.
Is it one?
And he don't want it down there either, so.
No,
No,
I think
that would
it's
be-
Margot's.
Margot's,
So some of it is Mort's, because we went down there to clean
Yeah.
up so we could get access to it, and Mort came out and wanted to know what we were doing.
yeah,
And then some of it happens to go to the yellow house, and some of it's town land, so it's all three across.
Okay, but I'm understanding that there's been vandalism as far as that those benches are being used as firewood and stuff, and I just
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
know if the property owner knew about that,
Oh.
that not only is it breaking their rules for that property, cause there's an easement on there that says it's a day use,
mhm,
and that there's no open fires.
mhm.
And now we've got the next step of the vandalism.
Well, the problem with that is what do we put out, 2 fires down there so far this year?
Yes, so far we put 2 out.
And it's a local hangout for some of the people that like to have a few drinks and
Mhm.
indulge in the drug activity.
Right,
That part is, we don't have really control over it until we have someone to flush them out.
yeah.
And if there is a fire, I encourage people to call because that's part, by the time that the department got there, they were all gone, but
Right,
they were burning the benches down there.
right.
Yeah.
So,
But has anybody reached out to the property owner? Did they even know? Cause I mean, it's an absent property owner. in this case.
Yes and no. Mort's well aware of it. We had a conversation with him last Wednesday, in depth, on a related issue, and yes, he is very
Okay.
aware. I'm sure Marco's aware as well. She's around.
Okay,
I've also been told that down at the old, part of the Atlas plywood down at the end of Willow Street,
They got the
there
castle.
is people living in there homeless.
Yep.
So, that's something that
Right. That-
just people need to know about, and I'm sure that's part of the crowd too,
Right.
so.
And I mean, this information is not, the police are not unaware. We've asked them to go down that street periodically when they patrol town. But by the same token, we're not getting full coverage. I mean, the full coverage that we pay for, so how often they actually go down there is
Like-
probably,
Andre said whenever he comes to town, he's going down there and he's taking a trip down and back.
The last 2 times we put it out have been around 12:30 at night each time.
Right, and what's happening is he's not getting notified right away, so he's not knowing about it. He knows it happens, but it's always after the fact. And of course, once a police car rolls into town, like back when we were kids, somebody rolls into town, by the time he gets from the start of town to the church, everybody across town already knows they're in town, especially with cell phones. He goes, by the time we get through town, everybody knows we're here and everything stops dead. So that's how they're not catching people, because as soon as they pull in. So they've had a lot of unmarked cars coming to town to try to catch more things.
But we are as well only getting billed for what they're putting.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure
Yeah,
people knew that.
yes, we're only, yes,
We're just not getting the,
What we're asking for.
what we're contracted for.
right.
So.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Heather,
Hello, introduce myself for those of you who don't know me, my name is Heather Moore. I am here, as part of, I work for Franklin Northeast Supervisory Union. I'm the director of the after-school programs, so the LEAPS programs for all of our 6 communities. And part of that is I'm the community lead for the Vermont Youth Project, in Enosburg and Richford. High school students have been participating in a survey for a multi-year positive youth development initiative. I'm not sure, any of you familiar with that? Kristen has, no, she is, so we've chatted. So what the Vermont Youth Project is, part of what it is we do surveys with the middle and high school students. And we get about protective and risk factors, like what are their students' perceptions of their community, what are the strengths within their community, and how are their feelings about their community. We get the survey results within 8 weeks, which is pretty marvelous. So if you're familiar with the Vermont, with the YRBS survey that they take every other year, you get the survey results back in somewhere between 12 and 24 months. So we have pretty good data, real-time data for our students, and we started the surveys a couple months before the pandemic started, and we've been asking COVID-related mental health questions too, so we've been getting some really good information. So I'm here tonight, one, to let you know about that, but also we're having a community conversation in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, right here at the town hall, May 17th, where we're going to have our partners in this project, the Vermont Youth Project, will help present some of the data from when the students took the survey in October, and kind of facilitate some community conversations around community strengths and belonging. What does it look like for all of the residents in this community to belong? What do we love about our community? What are some ways that we can use the things that we love, I say our community, this isn't my community, but for the members, you know, what do you really like about your community? How can we bring our community together and make it stronger and better? The conversation, we're inviting youth, adults, people who work in the community, people who live in the community. If you are of an investment in Richford, like, we would like to see people there. And thanks to a grant through the Prevention Network, Northwest Regional Prevention Network and the United Way, we're going to be able to provide some childcare and supper for the community members. And then in June, we're going to follow up and see if anything's kind of taken off from some of the conversations.
What time was that, Heather?
It is 5 to 7 p.m. and I have
you better.
flyers. And down at the bottom, I just put in some of the identified risk factors for individuals that tend that make life a little bit more challenging and make people less likely to make healthy choices. And then on the right of there is the protective factors. So there's things that every community has, that's something that we know through decades and generations of studying human development and raising healthy individuals. Like The more that we have community connections, the more that family has support and family can be networks with each other, the stronger the schools are, individual and peer groups, and then finally they call it third space, which is anytime for young people, it's home is first space, school is considered second space, and outside community stuff is considered third space. So the more third space activities we have for young people, the more that they're going to be invested within the community, the more that they're going to thrive, and and the more they'll have the resilience against some of the risk factors. So the conversation will probably go in, there's a lot of different ways, like, this is it's a Vermont Youth Project. Youth are our primary demographic that we're targeting, but the Vermont Youth Project really takes a holistic approach too. Like, we wanna look at how are we supporting all the community members, because if all the adults are supported, the young people will be supported as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I have one other thing that I want to talk about related to the Vermont Youth Project, but first, any questions, or do you want to know more about this? It's not an agenda, like, the facilitators don't really have an agenda with it, other than they're gonna share some Vermont Youth Project data. It's really meant to be a community conversation, so they're third-party facilitators.
Okay.
Yeah. Great, so along with that, with the Vermont Youth Project, I've been working with, looking at the data, working with the coalition and talking with high school students. And one of the things that keeps coming up is the need for a youth center. A space where young people can go, where it's theirs. They essentially have ownership over the space. They can make the space their own. They can kind of tailor it to their direct needs. It has adults working in there that are familiar with youth development and helping youth making positive choices. So I've been trying to work with some people across the state to try to figure out how do we make that happen. So I'm working with doing this project in Enosburg and Richford, and we'd like to see community centers in both communities. So I'm bringing that up as the municipality. There's some ways that you can help bring this about as well. Whether it's just your support and backing with this, or there's some municipalities manage the youth centers, some municipalities just give it their general support. And I've got some pretty cool ideas about funding youth centers once we can get one up and running off the ground. Like, the initial funds are the more challenging ones, but I'm in conversations with some people from Brattleboro who've had their youth centers also include like a small business inside there, because it provides workforce development for the students, as well as filling a need, like a retail need for the students as well. Some of the students I was talking to said that they would really like to be able to buy clothing right in Richford instead of having to go somewhere else. So like some sort of clothing boutique could work very well within there. So I don't know if if you have any thoughts around youth centers.
I like the idea of a youth center. There was one when I was a teenager here in town. It just, when supervision walked away, it kind of fell apart, and a lot of other stuff was going on there.
Was that the Cornerstone? Is that the same as the Cornerstone? So it was something before that? Okay.
Yeah, more than that one.
I don't know how long that one was around either. I know that
It ran well for a while, but then people, just kind of lost interest, and the kids were still going, and other things started happening because there was not the right supervision.
Right, that part is essential to making it function.
To maintain a supervised.
Is this something the SU would like, if the funding was there, the SU would manage, or
No,
like where is the management piece of it?
So I don't think so. So when there could be a natural connection made with like the after school programs, and it's something that I've thought about before, but I don't think that as the after school director, I don't think that we could expand more than we are currently. We've got 8 sites operating within our district. And that's kind of pushing like we're right at capacity, like all of our students are being directly served. A youth center would really need a director, somebody to oversee it, and then they would need some part-time staff. So ideally, you'd be looking at 2 adults operating in this space at the same time. One having the full-time capacity, and then the other people kind of like possibly being revolving peoples. And then there's the opportunities for like cooking classes and music classes and some what do we call them? Like pre-designed activities for people to sign up for and participate in, and some would be a little bit more open-ended, so just come and hang out time as well. But then like whoever you would have hired within the facility would have the training and to work with students.
Would it work, instead of just having a youth center, would it work having a community center? That way we could have, people that are retired could go and do computer work, and maybe, kids could sign on to help them, teach them, that type of thing.
I think
Could
that
you combine
foreclosed
it?
the ownership of their own.
Yeah, so when I've talked to because Enosburg has been, I've helped Enosburg with the creation of their community center, and the feedback that I got from the students a lot was if they don't have their own room and their own space, they don't really want to go to it. So a community center could be very awesome, and it could probably, if space is made for the youth,
Right.
in there, that could probably work really well, as long as like there is something that the youth can really own. And that also gives them a lot of leadership in community investment, so that the youth centers that tend to work really well have like a board made up of some high school students, so that they can make some decisions about activities, how to decorate it, and then if there's a business within there, how to manage the business. The one in Brattleboro has some really cool YouTube videos. A high school student is the manager of the boutique. So that's a really nice experience for that person.
Yeah.
So it could go many ways depending on, what you have for space.
Right.
And there are definitely some funding sources out there. So through the Vermont Youth Project, I'm happy to help a community look for funding sources, connect with people who've done this before, managing it. FNESU's not, we just don't have the capacity.
And what in an ideal situation, how many, what type of hours or like, what are the hours you envision this being open a week?
From after school to about 7 or 8, and then I'd say at least one weekend day.
Ages?
It can kind of fluctuate. I've seen like 12 to like 23, 24 years old.
Really, that wasn't what I was thinking when you.
I was thinking 17, 18.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of when people have noticed that when there's a strict cutoff at 18, there tends to be people that are a little bit older but not necessarily as independent that kind of get a little left behind. But that's when some of the structured time could be put in there, saying these are hours for certain individuals, or this is an open time. But then it would be up to the people really who would run it. So, and then there's ways, we do have a very, the after school program at the high school has been growing exponentially. This is year 1 with a 21C grant, and they're already bigger than we were expecting them to be. It's really wonderful. But I can see this working in partnership with them versus in competition.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could definitely set the age limits or set certain hours for certain individuals. And a lot of it, I think, will depend on the space that you end up finding too.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've got some more of these if anybody else wants for the community conversations. Would you like?
I think it's a great idea.
So my email is up at the top if anybody just wants to reach out, have more questions, and Michael and I have been in communication too, but if there's anything I can do to help support moving forward, this is definitely a big project.
Okay.
Have you done any information or any kind of collective connection with the Notch?
Not for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been
That'd be a good
we had a more communication before the pandemic than since. We're kind of I think both of us are kind of been building back up. Sure. So yes, but they would be a really, really
They would
strong
be a great
partner.
resource,
And they have
They would be.
communicated with, is it Lyle Willie?
Yes.
Who had the 501c3 status for the Cornerstone, which is still technically active. So that's a potential angle. Again, it's finding management, seeing who might be the right organization to manage it, and funding and moving forward. But I know Bernie Sanders has been a huge champion for after school, and community centers like this or youth centers are kind of part of that too, like that there's space programming, and there's, I was actually on the governor's task force for something called After School for All. There's, the state's really looking at trying to expand more opportunities for young people in our communities. So there's opportunities out there, we just kind of get things lined up. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Heather. Thank you.
Alright. On to discussion of assistant zoning administrator. Sorry.
Did everybody get a chance to review it?
Yeah, I said like, oh my god.
I had several as well.
Yeah, that's why I sent it out, just so you guys can review and kind of get the idea of what John wants. But that was my first initial point, was just to get everything out that John was looking for, so everyone was on the same page.
So I don't know if we want to discuss it out loud or just, how do we want to go about it?
Yeah.
I kind of thought it just needed, the, I guess for a lack of a better way of saying it, it was too, harsh.
That's what I said.
I
said the
like
same
a lot of the stuff that's in there is implied.
Right.
Like, we'll report, we'll follow the direction of the zoning commission. That's implied if you're the assistant.
I said it needed to be more positive.
More positive, yeah. So I changed, and we'll must nominate. They don't. I mean, if that needs to be said, we can say the planning commission will review the candidate and nominate an applicant. We don't need the must in there. I think we should tell them where they should apply, and just other little edits to be in it, and be in an informational resource. So I'll
I like that one.
I do too. Just make it nicer.
But some of that wording was taken right out of the bylaws.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's a lot of it's implied. So but it's not what you want forward facing when you're reaching out to the public for a candidate. So I think you just, like you said, softer, a little more appealing. And what did we agree on for hours? Like, I think that's something we have to. Huh?
I think it was 15 in the
All right,
budget.
so I think we have to, so put that in there.
Yeah, like 15 hours a week, yeah.
Per week or per month?
Month. I thought it was for a month.
It might be month, I don't remember. I know it was 15.
Oh my gosh.
Because you're not even that many, right?
No, I have only been what?
Is that?
I started working 2 extra hours a week this month.
Yes.
This month. So I'll work 6 hours. I'm working 6 hours a week now, plus the outside work that's not counted in that. But I'm in the office 6 hours a week.
Wow. I guess.
Yeah, I'm thinking we need to have between 2 positions, we should have 40. It's a lot. There's a lot of work and it's.
But I in your budget, there's not money to have somebody here for
I was just
Well,
gonna
no, I
ask,
wouldn't
what are
say
we
somebody, I'm
budgeted
at
for?
with you included. That's what I was thinking.
You have.
And for example, I had Michael help me. I try to do a daily log of everything I do each day, and this is for last year. So we just printed out a couple of copies because it's several pages. These are all the contacts I had with different people over last year, and you can see there's a lot.
Yeah,
So
there
John,
is.
There's a lot more goes on than what people realize.
Yeah.
John, I'm curious if, I think one of the time, when we were talking about it in the budget, we were curious if that was something that you wanted more hours, but I think the feedback was kind of like that you weren't really willing to take that on.
Well, I said I would take on a little bit more.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's why this
That's why you
month
have the 2 hours extra.
I went up to 6 hours a week in the office.
Do
I
you
didn't have any
think
hours
over
outside the
You
office.
obviously have been doing this for a really long time, John.
Well, for a few years.
Okay, but involved for a really long
Yes.
time. You know what it takes. I mean, I'm just curious from your perspective, how much time? I mean, we're just talking about, I'm sure it's on the agenda to talk about, you know, some of the other zoning issues that are happening and some of the letters that we're getting and, you know, some of the people, how upset, you know, the town looks. Like, what do you feel like would be a good allotment of hours for people to get done what needs to get done in the town?
Well, it's not as easy as people think by
I
any
know it
means.
is.
No, it's not. I don't think it's easy.
Not at all.
And you can send out all the letters you want, unless the party is willing to comply.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible, and it's gone on here for so many years when people haven't complied, and they still aren't. It's hard to get people into that, change the attitude that they need to comply.
Well, I guess we need to lead with a stick and not the carrot.
It should be forced compliance.
Yeah. So, I mean, at what point? My understanding is, we can, as a select board, can implement ordinances that are stronger than the zoning, right?
Yes.
So if need be, we could start adopting some, you know, like, hey, here's what qualifies as a junkyard, and we're going to enforce it.
I don't think, no,
I'm
my discussions about some of these town properties, what I'm getting from our attorney is I don't think we can do anything above and beyond our zoning. We'd have to change our zoning if we wanted. We can make the zoning tougher.
But you can pass ordinances, and ordinances take effect, usually, 60-day notice? But a bylaw is grandfathered in, so if something's already there, it's there until they make a change.
Okay.
And that's under state law.
alright.
But it almost sounds like rather than passing new zoning, it again comes down to enforcing the zoning we have on our books now. And
Yeah, well, and I
and
think
we did budget more money for legal fees for zoning.
Yeah. And I think I have to look at it again, but I think some of it might come down to eventually clarifying it. You're putting parameters around what certain things mean too. Better defining a couple things.
And on that, another thing I thought of this assistant person could do, all our permits that are issued should be online or in a database now. And that they could be logging those into a database.
Yeah, that'd be.
Now, if somebody comes in and wants a permit that was issued 2 years ago, well, I probably can find the paper copy, but you asked for 10 years ago, nobody has an idea where anything
Yeah, and
is.
that's a good way to go digital, yes. Start, at least
Yeah.
start date forward. And I guess you could work back a few years.
So,
Well, we're recording them in the land records.
Yeah, they are
They are
recorded.
there.
Yeah,
So they would be they would be digitized, so they are on the computer.
Yeah. but if you wanted to really see the actual copy, it's hard to
Well, if
oftentimes
it's on the
find.
land records,
Yeah.
Marissa can pull up copies of them right
Yeah.
on her computer.
Yeah. So, I
what do we
mean,
have for money in the budget for
I think it's 16,000 now for salaries.
16,000?
I was getting 6,000, so probably a couple more if I work 6 hours,
Yeah.
a week. So there's still at least quite a bit of money for an assistant.
Well, that's what I was thinking, how many hours a week would you be willing to do, and then how many hours, 6 hours is not enough to do this job, it really isn't. And I know you work hard, and I know you probably do a lot of hours outside of here. that you're
Because,
not
yeah,
in the
most of the
office.
time, the
So how
site
many hours,
visits aren't included in any of
right,
this stuff.
so how many hours you say a week you officially really do this job, not just in the office?
Oh, it's hard to tell because it, depends what's going on.
Would you do?
Because like
10,
last Friday, I
15?
went down and looked at mess on Thomas Street there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So would you say 10 to 15 hours a week is what you really put in?
probably around 10, I would say.
Okay.
I guess, yeah, we gotta get back to this, like, so we're trying to figure out the hours, how many hours? And then you probably, should we advertise a salary range too?
As far
15,
as the hourly rate.
well, yeah, like 15 to 18 bucks an hour or whatever. I mean, whatever what is the going rate?
Guess the job no
Lucille
one's
starts
really gonna
out
want.
at 17 and they're looking to up it because everyone around's jumping up to 23, 24, and $25 an hour. Just so
But I mean, it's-
everyone's aware.
It wouldn't the amount you pay
You-
kind
you-
of go coincide with how many hours you want them to put in?
whatever
No,
the
it wouldn't.
budget.
Well, because it's how much you budgeted for
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
amount, so you probably.
That's what we have to get, what do we budget for?
Nah.
Well, there's 16,000 in the budget for
16,000.
salaries,
Right,
Total.
yeah, total. So say if I got, because I have been getting 6, and if I, work a couple more hours, and if it got up to 7, 8, it's still gonna leave 7, 8,000.
for a second,
Half
doesn't
of it.
help out.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I really think you should be documenting your time when you're doing visits and stuff. That's stuff
Yeah.
that you should be doing, that's part of that job description, right? That's what
Yeah,
should be
but-
part of
yeah.
your job description, you do it, so you should get paid for it, cause they're gonna wanna get paid for it, why
Yeah.
should you do it for nothing?
Yeah, because that is gonna be one of their tasks, is do follow-ups.
Mhm.
Because that's one, oftentimes, if I send a letter out and give them 10 days or whatever to respond, I don't always, because so many other things have happened, I don't have time to go back and check that they really do it or not. Yeah.
Right, so that's what I'm
And
saying.
if I don't, hear from, some people will call up, but then some people you never hear from.
Yeah, so some of his duties will be assumed,
Right,
yes.
And I think this person, if we get somebody and I'm sending them out, they should be paid mileage probably on their car, driving around.
so should you.
Well, I don't, and I've never asked for it, that hasn't,
but you
that
should.
hasn't been, my concern.
Cause anybody
But-
else starting this job is going to say, yes, I need that, so you should be getting it too, John. To be honest, I mean, it'd be expected, I assumed you already were, but apparently not.
Well, I mean, we're not really, we're kind of going
We're
around.
off track, but at the same time.
Yeah, so we
Well, I
got,
mean, I think if we start at some base, we can always go up
Right.
to find out how it's gonna work. Cause this will be completely new, so it's gonna take a while to figure out, is it really gonna work, and,
Right,
But to think of 15 hours a month, that would be,
that's only like 350 a month,
yeah.
Yeah,
so, I mean, times,
3,500 for, yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so you could easily probably, we could I mean, if you're doing 20 bucks an hour, so yeah, so if you went to 25 hours a month, or, make it a nice even number,
Yeah, where John does like 10 hours.
so you could even do 30 hours a month at 20 bucks an hour.
Yeah.
That'd be 4,800 and you'd still be coming in under.
Yep.
We wanna put it for 30 hours a month?
At how much?
Well, I mean, let's just,
That's
we can do it, do you wanna leave ourselves some flexibility in a pay range? And do like, starting between 18 and 20,
20,
and-
and
or
some
22
that
depending on
How
experience.
much
Right,
is John getting
experience.
paid now?
well, I think it comes out to, cause I get salary, my salary, comes out to about $25 an hour.
Right.
not really, cause you're doing site visits.
Yeah,
and
it
all that
doesn't,
stuff for
but
no
if you,
pay, so you're
if you
probably
divide
getting paid.
the alpha hours by the, monthly salary, cause I get now $500 a month.
So you wanna just do that? Okay, then, so let's do 30 hours,
At 20 bucks.
well, no, what,
Between 18 and 20,
Yeah.
depending on experience.
cause it'll, even
Okay.
at 22, if we got somebody that had done it before or has experience, we'd still be well under the,
Allotted.
allotted,
So $18 to $22.
30 hours per month.
So the range is you're looking for a range of 18 to 22?
Yeah, 18 to 22,
It's
And
just
John, you
under
need to be
800,
documenting
8,000
the
if
time that
it's
you're on, so you need to get
22
paid for it.
for 30 hours a month. It's just under 8,000, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
okay, on three. Let me know if you have,
If you can decipher everything.
yes.
His writing's good.
Graphics.
Alright, we'll tweak it, I can work with John, we can tweak it and
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, that first one was just kind of get you the information, and then we can spruce it up before
Yeah.
going out.
Alright, so I guess I make a motion to go with the job description as discussed.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
I'd like to bring up one other zoning issue. It's not, if someone wanted to put, you know what Jersey barriers are?
Yep.
Those cement
You mean the
barriers.
driveway down the road?
Yeah,
Yes.
That was a shady move.
well,
Was it approved?
They didn't need to, they're on their own property.
yeah, and that we have nothing in the zoning against them.
Yeah, it's not a
But
fence.
doesn't it have to be so far off from or so many feet from the
Yeah.
right of way or the property line?
Yeah, I don't know about those, but
Yeah,
How many feet?
I would think you would
18
have to
inches?
sign off on it, you know.
Isn't it supposed to be what, 18 a MODA between the property line or a right of way? And he's right on it and right onto the edge of it onto the right of way.
Well, what if someone wanted to put them on the edge of their property?
18 inches, remember?
No, which would be in your right of way. On a different property. On the edge, right up next to the road. And you know, you have about 25 feet from the center of the
Yeah.
road back onto anybody's property.
I think you have to get permission for it, don't you? And
Well,
and any accidents or anything like that, that happens because they hit that and it's in that 18 inches is
But I
the
wouldn't
property
think-
owner.
I mean, I don't know if you would want that on the edge of somebody's
No.
property, because what if there's water, I don't know where the water pipes and stuff on that
Well,
street,
that-
are they underneath that?
didn't we discuss this in relation to something on the Nixon Road? All we have to have is, I thought it was discussed that.
Access.
Yeah, all we have, so I mean, those are movable if need be.
So,
So I mean, while not aesthetically pleasing,
if,
Private property.
I mean, unless there's something in your zoning laws that prohibit it, I mean, what options are there?
well, I got a question. If you put up a fence on a property line, you have to get an easement from the property owner, right?
Yeah, and I guess those is
I would consider that kind of a fence in my mind.
I guess you could look at it that way.
That's how I'm looking at it. It's basically a fence.
It is a fence, yeah, that's what he built it for.
And that's how I would view it in my own viewpoint.
Mhm.
And if he did not get an easement to put up a fence, that would not, you know, it's,
You have to get a permit
against
for
our
a fence
permit
in,
or our zoning.
right, I did.
I mean, is there a definition of fence in our bylaws?
Yes, there is.
And would
Make it
that
4
fall?
inches.
It's about
between-
creating a boundary.
it's creating a boundary, right?
Isn't there like, you have to be able to see through it, can only be 4 feet tall,
I
which that
think it
is?
just says setback to allow for maintenance.
Yes,
And I think we've
A
said
mower
in the
deck.
past about 18 inches.
Yep.
Well, Jersey barrier would be over that.
Yeah, because, yeah.
That's how I view it. I'd view it as a fence.
So yeah,
But that's my opinion.
look into it, John.
Yeah. Cause even
Um,
though it's private property, it still has to follow the bylaws or the zoning and stuff
laws.
like that, 18 inches off from the property line. All the way around.
so look into that.
Okay, thank you.
Do we want to finish? We have other things for John. Do we want to just?
We can squeeze them in and get them out of the way.
So, can you tell us about the property, 130 Thomas Street?
Well, I really don't know about it, because nobody seems to know who owns it, because they claim somebody else is buying it. So I did go down and look at it after the complaints came in last Thursday, and Friday morning I went down there. And actually, it's got nowhere near as much trash as there was last year about the same time, when I sent them a violation and took pictures. There's probably not half the trash there now as there was back then.
But it's still bad.
It's still bad, yes. And I've talked to Kim about it, because it's a rental, it has been apparently a rental property, and she was sending pictures and stuff to the fire marshal. Because they've got, she said, a new fire marshal that's gonna work just on health issues.
Well, and it's health and safety. And
Yeah.
I mean, even though it might have sold, is there still a way to go back on the rental property owner because they you know, it's the health and I think we need to get the health and safety.
And I contacted Terry, the health officer, about it also. And there's no record here in the town hall that that property's ever sold.
So then we should go back to that person and
Yeah.
start sending them notices.
Yeah.
And have, you know, we're definitely push the fire marshal, push the health and safety officer, to really start cracking down.
The fire marshal's only gonna be able, it's about the same sort of entity as, you know, zoning, we can only,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but the health and safety has, they have permission to enter a property, right?
I don't
I
think
thought,
so.
I thought there was, thought somebody had permission to, like, pretty much enter a property if that was.
well, we have a water meter that needs to be installed on that property, and I'm gonna try to take advantage of it. Well, it's kinda out in limbo, so.
But yeah, I guess start with those, John.
The process of being sold isn't.
Well, I'll
sold, so that-
re-cite them, because it was about a year ago I cited them.
Yeah.
And they, at that time, they did call up and
And say
said they were working on cleaning it up, and they had that nowhere near as much trash as there was last year at this time there. There's a small, I noticed a small pile of tires. Last year, there was hundreds of tires there.
Well, and I mean, and that's something we could probably, as a town, could help out with, you know, we're allotted tires for Green Up Day.
Right.
You know, we could make some of that, but I mean,
The trash,
I mean, I wouldn't wanna go into that with,
Oh, no.
not if there's rats and other things as claimed by a near adjacent property owner. I wouldn't wanna get into that.
And I didn't go down, last year I went down and took pictures from the rail trail, because it backs up to the rail trail. And I didn't go down the rail trail, so I don't know if there's a lot of junk on that side of the house or not this year.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, can you follow up next meeting with that?
Yeah.
is there any other properties you wanna talk about?
Oh, I'm sure there's an endless.
We signed off on the Gilmet Road agreement with the understanding that she had, I don't remember the terminology, but basically, I'm gonna say 2 ag units,
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
right? Which you described as,
1,000
pounds
I
apiece.
think, yeah.
who's enforcing that? Because I went by there, she's still got half a dozen cows and horses or donkeys combined. Clearly that puts her immediately over that, and then there's ducks and chickens still. So who is monitoring and enforcing that?
Well, that's where I think the court falls down. They agree to this stuff, and then there's no enforcement. on
So
it.
who-
So it's gonna have to be up to us.
So we need to go out there, take pictures,
We need to go out there and
and send them to our lawyer and say, hey, this
see
is
what, yeah.
And then we start putting, I mean,
And I don't know if she ever paid the down payment she was gonna pay on the fine or not.
so I guess maybe we just need to, I mean, I hate to spend more money on it, but I mean, like, at some point, where does it transfer? Like, hey, we agreed to this, where does that transfer off us?
I think she had, was it June 1st maybe, to get stuff reseeded and,
Yeah, but I mean, I would assume the animal thing was a pretty immediate thing.
yeah.
Like, I guess, can you go back and look at that agreement just to
Yeah.
see what the timeline, if there's any timelines in there? Alright. Seems like I had one other thing, but.
And then the place up in East Richford, who, this time the owner never responded to any court summons or issues at all.
You're talking the one on the corner?
Yes.
What about the 2 trailers on top?
Um,
Can they just move it from there and put it up there?
and
Is this the same individual?
so they asked our attorney asked for I think they call it a summary judgment. And it took a court almost a year to issue it, and they finally did, fined her a certain amount. And I was supposed to let them know if they had cleaned up, so a week ago Sunday, Rowena and I, we went up there and took pictures, and it's of course not cleaned up. And I sent the pictures to the attorney, and she said, wow, I will inform the court, so.
Now, has anything ever been done about the 2 trailers up higher that are on the same parcel?
No,
And all
I
the
cited them, I
vehicles?
think, but nothing's ever officially
Because last year when she cleaned up down below, it just moved
stuck
up
it up
there.
there.
And there's mounds, and there's
You
rats,
remember?
and there's children
You
that
said,
live
oh,
there.
yes.
No, I remember the other thing, yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
It's sick, it's horrible.
But they own the property, don't they? So I think
She owns.
they own it, so it's
One
hard
woman
to.
owns it, but there's 2 trailers on there, so she
Right,
must
and
be
she's renting
the
the
other
other
Right.
one to
So-
the guy,
one.
the
And all that stuff's piled
son
in
of
between
the
all of them.
person that lives
I'll
there.
talk to Kim about it, cause if something's a rental, then she could get involved in it, but
It is
it's,
awful.
private property, it's almost impossible to do anything with it.
I know, and then when you drive up the road, anywhere the road gets close to the ditch or the fall, you look over and there's mattresses and there's garbage bags and there's tons and tons of just stuff.
Yeah, I remember when I did sign, she called up, we're trying to get cleaned up and we're going to get rid of some of the junk cars but I don't think much happened.
So,
You have one other place or?
yes, well, as you know, the property at the end of the golf course road is for sale. The farm,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of, I'll say one man's treasures, another, one man's junk, another man's treasure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff there that was required to be moved, and it's just being moved to a different property on the road. At what point, what qualifies as a junkyard, and what do we do about it?
Thought you were only allowed to have one unregistered vehicle on your property. Is
No,
that,
you can have
you
3
can have 3?
if they're out of sight
Out of sight.
year round.
So, but if we,
So if there's 4, it's considered a junkyard.
so how hard do we enforce that in town? Because I'm guessing there are multiple properties in town that would fall into that category.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
So,
I sent a letter out to somebody today about a junk car he's sitting in their yard.
well, and this is definitely out of sight, out of mind. It's one of the, I had an adjacent property owner tell me, it's, up the person's driveway, out in their back meadow. And it's just, they're just moving it, transporting it up and hiding it. So, I mean, what are,
The zoning, we don't have permission to go, we can't go on people's property. We can only view what we can see from a public.
yeah, so
Highway.
that would make it difficult until such time as Google Earth captures it. Then you can say, hey, what the heck, right? Okay. But no, I would, I would like to start seeing maybe us pushing that too. What constitutes a junkyard? I think there's several properties in town that would fall under.
So it's 4 vehicles or more,
That are unregistered?
unregistered and uninspected.
Okay. I think that's it for
And
now.
farm equipment doesn't count on any of it. Right?
The farm equipment now,
You can have all you want.
And what about a business? Like a business that has all sorts of dilapidated stuff that's never moved in years. When does that, what if some of it's construction equipment, miscellaneous campers that haven't moved in years? Like, I mean, what are the rules on something like that?
but are they calling that merchandise they're using in their business or?
Well, I don't know. I'm asking, like, I mean, if it hasn't moved in years, I mean, so,
Because sometimes it's hard with a business,
yeah, okay.
because if it's been there for a long time, we now have a bylaw where a business can't store merchandise outside.
Yeah.
But if it's been there before the bylaws, that bylaw's grandfathered in, so,
When was that, John?
when was it, just 2 or 3 years ago, wasn't it?
It's kind of like a garage that has a bunch of cars on the
Yeah.
outside that haven't moved for years.
See, that's where if you've got some of these older ones, you can step in as a select board and put an ordinance in that says effective as within the 60 days, and then that
Takes effect right
takes
there.
effect for everybody. There's no grandfathering. That would
Right.
get your ones that,
But does that overrule bylaw?
Yes,
I-
it would.
yeah, it would, but if you had it as similar, the same thing as a bylaw.
Okay.
But it's the same thing, the enforcement is the hard part.
Yes.
You-
So that's why I'm saying, 6 hours a week is nowhere near what.
I mean, if,
That's
even
overwhelming.
if you had ordinance, you could put in the $50 fine or whatever fine it might be. Unless the people are willing to comply with it, it's hard to get the stuff enforced.
And when does it, when does the town have the authority to condemn a building?
No, I think that's
I
applicable.
don't, I'm gonna say, I don't know that they really have, other than
What
the
if-
fire marshal coming in.
Yeah.
What if it, to the point that it's, public safety?
If it's a business.
But I mean-
No, under public safety, it'd still come in under fire marshal.
I think it's only,
So, I mean, what's that?
I think I've asked Kim this before, and I think it's only rental property.
Yeah.
Private residence does not.
Only rental
But-
property and business.
So I'm thinking more in the line of a business,
Yeah, and
where like,
I think I've been through a business with the fire marshal, and there's stipulations that they can remain open. But yes, it is definitely.
but I mean, if the building's open to the public and a hazard, because of the
Open by
dilapidation.
appointment, it's how it's worded
No, I meant open, like
constantly.
the building's collapsed to the point where people can go in and,
Oh,
because it's not gated or anything. I'm just wondering, like, at what point do we as a town have the authority to step into that and say, look, this is a safety issue?
Well,
Well, I
under
think the
housing,
fire
right?
marshal has to
Huh?
come out.
that'd be fire marshal,
Yeah,
housing.
Okay,
I think calling the fire marshal and getting him to go out and do a site visit, especially if it's a business, I mean, just like the Department of Health,
I mean,
If
I
somebody
have-
has a kitchen or, someone reports,
Mhm.
The Department of Health goes in and inspects
They
it
can,
and
they can inspect it
says,
and condemn
Yeah.
it, right?
okay.
yeah, I would say the fire marshal.
Definitely. I had one where ceiling collapsed and we got the fire marshal involved. Alright, computer went off.
All right, John, I think that's it for today.
Alright, so zoning's done, discussion of town properties. Alan?
Well, I did talk to the attorney again about 50 for our street, and their recommendation is no restrictions. If we're gonna sell it, our zoning will be our protection, and she said she talked to Brian, and any restrictions that we put on over and above that would be probably unenforceable, and secondly, probably discriminatory.
Okay.
And their recommendation was no restrictions. So I guess we gotta decide if we're gonna move ahead with that, and
Can I ask one other question that sometimes my brain works at night and it's the reason I can't sleep, is you said we have to sell it?
oh, we don't have to sell it.
You hear it down.
We can keep it.
No.
If we're going to sell it, we have to sell it for the most we can get out of it, and
Can we do like a Lake Carmite type 100-year lease on it?
it's
That's a
our,
good idea.
And then would it be open to potentially having Habitat for Humanity?
lease it.
That.
You're talking about the town retaining the ownership and signing a lease to lease it to someone. I
To
don't-
someone like Habitat Humanity where they come in and.
It's our property, we can lease it or rent it, do whatever we want with it.
So yes, let's get.
Sell the house to Habitat for Humanity,
Well,
lease the
no.
land.
Well,
But you're not talking selling it though,
I'm talking.
you're talking us
Well, I
keeping
mean,
it.
But if we own it, we're responsible for the building to be, fixed up and all that stuff, but
Yeah,
if
but I
we-
think
you
you
can
can put
put
that
that-
in a lease.
Yeah.
A
So
lot
let's,
of people that redo businesses or, do something, that's part of the lease, so.
so is that would that be something we'd want to explore? I mean,
I would think we're not gonna recover what we got invested in it at that point.
I don't think. I think it's very probably possible we wouldn't anyway.
We've got a total of,
Rise glasses.
I had the same issue.
Me too.
little over
So I got glasses.
$27,329.
How much was just trash? That one got my curiosity.
$7,220.
I think John Weatherby did us a service.
Right.
Yes, you did.
He did, because that was bad.
That sounds cheaper than I figured it'd be.
You stood in the driveway and the
Yeah.
fees were on you.
Yeah, I walked through that building, I know exactly what it was.
I still wanna go down and look at it though. my solar tank, I'm just curious.
Have you had any luck getting in contact with Habitat for Humanity?
Well, I mean, guess that would be our next step. It depends, like, if you wanted to, because they're looking at bid, like, I guess right now the thinking was bids. And they said they potentially, could be interested in a bid, but we would have to organize a meeting with them, kind of see, so we can feel out what they were looking for.
If you wanna set that up, I'll do a meet and greet with them, if anybody else wants to.
I would like to be involved with that.
So Wally and Andy then, be involved, and Mike and
It's like at least an initial.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you too, Alan, of course, it's your.
Yeah,
you're not-
don't let me,
Yeah, don't let us step on your toes.
So with 3 people, you'll have to,
Yeah, that would be a
Yeah.
public meeting,
Yeah.
if there's 3 of you
Okay,
there.
well then,
So, okay, well,
I don't mean to be difficult, Alan, I just have big reservations about it going right back to the same status it's.
Well, and it's where it is in town too, I mean, it's right there, as you're coming through.
I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not saying if this falls through, I won't be in favor of selling it, I just wanna look at all alternatives.
the other thing you really need to keep in mind is the whole purpose of buying properties at tax sale isn't for the town to own properties,
Right.
become a landlord and lease them and
I get
whatever. It's to let people know that there's consequences for not paying your taxes. You have to pay your taxes, you're gonna lose your property. You know, so going forward, I don't know if that's going to be a practice we're gonna
Okay.
wanna continue of just buying properties and turning around and leasing them. The whole point is to buy them, force people to pay their taxes and then turn around and get them back on the tax rolls. The other thing with leasing is we won't be collecting any taxes on it.
that's why my thought was, you sell the house, you have lease the land,
Lease
And
land
that's
and then tax the house.
tax the house, and then your land you can control, because if it's messy, you're gonna say, I'm your landlord, I mean, you need to clean this up, this is our property, we're the landlords. Not the landlords, but we're the ones that lease it, 100 years, so much a month, whatever, sell the house, they fix the house, they take care of the house, they pay taxes on the house.
Well, I mean, I don't wanna dictate what we're doing, I mean, how does the rest of the board feel?
I would like to see something there that's, cleaned up, looks a lot better than what's there right now. Habitat Humanity is a good thing.
I mean,
I agree with that.
but if you have to put it to bid, there's no
Yeah.
guarantee they're gonna.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
So-
Right. But if we were to lease the land to them, like Wally said, 100-year lease,
Yeah.
just the land.
Just the land, and they buy the house.
Yeah. Would they even go for something like that?
Well, that's
I would
what-
say that.
Right, would we still have to put the house out for bid though, even though we're just leasing the land?
Well, I don't think we'd have to put it out for bid.
No,
if we're
because we own the land.
We're retaining the ownership of the real estate, yeah.
Yeah, and the house we just would give to that, or you would. Off to them. Have them buy it,
So
whatever, they
I guess
want.
I could just organize a meeting, we can start that.
Do you wanna keep that on the agenda?
You got that.
Roughly how many houses does the town own?
I don't think we own a lot of houses, we own a lot of vacant property.
Yeah, we own a lot of land, but cemeteries, parks.
Right,
But,
as far as residencies.
well, we own quite a few land with building, like the village garage, post office, fire station, the historical society, the
Yeah, I guess I
library.
meant more like residential homes, like this
I
one.
think the only residential one we own is probably that one on Fair Street.
Okay. Do you have anything more on town properties, Alan?
No.
Okay. Discussion of spring community trash day.
I know we said we wanted to do, at one point we wanted to continue doing it. So we did it in the fall. And then Michael and I went and Wednesday and did several things. This is just the first thing we're gonna discuss. We met with, we went down, saw John, and he said just let him know the day. We kind of picked May 20th, but then I got to thinking it probably needs board approval, so before we fully commit to doing it, is the board still in favor of doing?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, even though it'll cost, we'll take donations, but it'll potentially cost, it won't be brutal. Did John send you the bill for the?
No, not yet.
Not yet, okay.
But I think he's gonna send it to Kylie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So we'll go ahead and plan that, and I mean, anybody, I'll be there, I don't know if you'll be
Is there
there.
a day that,
May 20th, I think was a Saturday.
that was our target date.
Because we didn't, the next weekend would be Memorial Day, and we didn't wanna,
right,
John advised not doing that, because a lot of people be gone.
right. And are you gonna do it in the same spot,
Yeah,
where behind the Thirsty Burger? Is that what
Yeah.
it was?
as long as, we won't be able to do it there in the future.
Right, cause Park and Ride will be there, but
Right,
But,
right.
we'll, for this year, we can do it there.
perfect.
And then, what about the May 6th Green Up Day one? I mean, John said he could do that.
Yeah, well, I think that's, he just does that as part of his contract probably with us. Last year he put a truck over, by the town garage. And I think the town crew went around and picked up a lot of the green bags and just threw them in the truck. I think that was, last year was the day I filled it up half full, with the guy on the rail trail.
Homeless guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, so he's okay with doing that again.
Yes.
So we'll do the same thing there.
Okay.
Alright, so do we need a motion for that or just an awareness? Probably since we're spending money.
Yeah, probably motion, I'll make a motion,
Just,
for town to clean up
I'll
first.
second the motion to support.
Put down cleanup day on May 20th.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed. Okay, now we're looking for approval of 4/17/23 select board meeting minutes and 4/20/23 special select board meeting minutes. I don't believe I was at either of those meetings.
I make a motion to approve both.
Well, you could
You
divide
gotta
them
do
up,
it. You gotta do
because
it.
there's only 3 viewers at the,
Oh, yes,
at
okay,
the special one.
so I'll make a motion to approve April 20th.
Okay.
There's a second.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, I abstained, wasn't there.
And I'll make a motion
Motion
to,
passed.
make a motion to approve April 17th.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No, oh, Chris, this is kind of the same thing as last time. I think
Oh, she
it was-
wasn't
Was
there?
I there?
No, you weren't.
Oh, is that just the?
Yeah, just the
Okay,
three of
okay,
us.
yep, yep,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So you abstain as well.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
But it's, well, no, if she seconded, who's the second person?
I'll second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that?
Well, she seconded,
Yeah,
Okay.
I was at the 20th.
you were at the,
yeah, you were at 20, but I mean,
Not the special.
not the special one.
17th, which is on
Right.
Thursday? Yeah, I was on.
Well, the
The
420.
20th was the Thursday.
Yeah.
Was it
yes,
only
the
one?
20th was the
For-
special, the
for on-call.
17th was the one you
Yes.
seconded.
Alright, update from town administrator.
The only thing I got is the rail trail extension update. Wally and I went last Wednesday to a handful of property owners and it seems like we made some progress, I guess. I gotta do some follow-ups. But overall, I thought it was a pretty productive trip around to a couple of them.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add for that?
So we'd hoped to catch for the guy, the owner of Fred in Newport. But he ended up being out for the day, unplanned.
Yeah, I can follow up with him again.
Yeah,
He
we left
called me
information.
back.
But he wasn't gonna be there this week, remember?
Well, I got a call from him, so.
Oh, you did?
I gotta follow up with him.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, he left a voicemail.
Then on the way back, we stopped and talked to Mr. Stanley. And we, you know how we talked about, being accommodating with our adjoining property to make it work for him. He seemed pretty open to that. So that, I felt that was productive. So I mean, I don't think it won't cost us anything. Like we talked about, on the end of the hockey stick factory, he has like a little loop around, but then it drops off quite a bit.
Yeah.
I suggested we could probably fill that in. And the town crew is soon to be ditching again. So if nobody's opposed, I mean, just dumping it and packing it for now. And I mean, with the thought that, that'll eventually be something for, to give him space for his business. Are we okay with doing that? I mean, it's just gonna be dumping the fill there. I mean, usually they just find a landowner anyway.
Yeah.
So if we work it out with him to dump it there and smooth it, Is that something that everybody's fine with?
For that,
Also on that note, we went and saw Vermont Natural Forest Products. As you know, the back of that rail trail there, from when a previous owner had that property, had all those butt ends and that were piled up and everything, and then there was some stuff down by Haley Fletcher's that was stacked up. We asked them if they wanted that for mulch. So and they said, yep, we're mulching right now, bring it over. It was either that or put it in our stump dump. So I mean, you're trucking it one way or you're trucking another. So they started cleaning it up today. So that'll all be cleaned up and nice and smooth. And so when you come into town, you won't see that big hunking pile of butts that have been there for 15 years. And the one over by Miss Fletcher's will also be gone. And we okayed all that with Mr. Stanley because he said none of it was his. It was there when he got there. So they're probably going to be 15, 20 loads of that material, which is pretty much falling apart anyway. And then they'll just do a little cleanup to make it look a little better.
nice.
So hopefully that makes makes the town look better, and hopefully it'll make Mr. Stanley continue to be accommodating. And then the last person we met with was Mort, and many of his concerns are the concerns of what that were expressed earlier. So I think we can accommodate some of them probably, right, Michael? Like some better, if he's gonna grant, sign off on it, he wants some better lighting, so the people will be less inclined to hang out down in there. Also concerned that people fly by on 4-wheelers and dirt bikes to go to the gas station. Suggested maybe there was a way, since it's intended to be a bike path primarily, if there might be a way we could, make it just a bike path. Make a cement ramp that's only this wide, and single file, put some Jersey barrier, build a wall there.
Is there telephone poles down there we could put street lights on?
There's one.
Yeah, but I think we could do that immediately. But I think when if we're gonna do that project, you might want to try to have some more
Lighting down through there.
aesthetically pleasing.
Yes.
I was just thinking, just getting one of the big LED lights they have at the station parking lot, just to brighten things up down there for the time being.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, the pump house or something down there too,
Right back
right?
of the pump house is
Yeah.
regular
Yeah.
street light.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. I mean, if we want to explore it, is that something you want to explore for now?
I think it might help the situation, because it is pretty dark down there, and these people are tucked over in a corner near the fire ring. If we could put a light basically right at that spot, it might,
Shine a light that you
Yeah.
never know why.
they don't want to be seen, so.
So
Would you get in contact with Vermont Electric Co-op and see what it would take?
So I mean, and then there was a couple other things that Mort wanted concessions on, which I think we could discuss further when if we ever got to that point. But I do have to say, I mean, as much as we want to move this forward, and there is the potential to make Richford better, I still have reservations because it takes us through some of the roughest parts of our town, and hopefully maybe it's a stepping stone. But I mean, it makes me wonder how it was ever devised in the first place. Because I mean, it goes right through some rough. It will go through some rough sections of town, and hopefully we're gonna have to.
Those rough sections of town are more now throughout town than when I was a kid. And I think by putting some things out there might deter some of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of lighting we can put all the way through. Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But Michael can follow up with that. We're still. Do we have a meeting with the engineer set up yet? Or have we? No.
I haven't heard back from Bethany about that, but I wanted to go through her because she made the first contact and kind of
So
see
yeah,
the
so
next
maybe
steps.
follow
I
up
have
with
to,
her.
yes, I do have to do that.
Keep it moving. So I mean, overall, it was a good day. Got some stuff cleaned up. We've got some positive encouragement from some of the property owners. So
And then I'm still working with Tim Smith and Lisa Hango on the governor's visit on May 15th
Okay.
here. It's like the governor's office to talk about funding opportunities for ARPA. That's their goal.
Okay.
So working on that, getting some details. So I'll be in touch when I get more develops.
Okay. Highway report.
Well, you know, some grading, you know, smoothing out some roads. There's still some roads that are rough. I rode on one today. I was like, wow, this one didn't survive the winter well. But you know, they're still drying out. So there's that. They've been hauling some gravel out there. You know, the cleanup project that I, you know, just mentioned. They did do some work at the North Country, right? To
For the ramp.
For the ramp. They also, we had, they did some work at the ball field. We've had a big 100 by 100 net that was bought years ago and it's been in storage. Nobody wanted to put it up to, you know, to prevent foul balls from falling on in the playground. So they started trying to put it up on Thursday. It's up, but it's not up all the way. So we're gonna have to do it a different way because it's not feasible to put it up and take it down in the manner that it currently is. So I don't know, we're gonna have to explore it. I don't know if it's gonna involve getting some telephone poles, you know, so we can anchor it and just hold it up higher and, you know, have something we can, or the other thing is it's really, anybody that's ever been to a ballpark, you know, it's that netting right behind home plate that goes, so that's essentially what it is. I don't know if we can get something high enough on the front of the building, you know, between the building and the ball field, and get it high enough so the foul balls just won't make it there.
Okay.
Because then that would be really easy to put it up. It would just be basically winch it up. But
You need some big flagpoles, basically.
I did speak with George Jacobs on my way down here because I happened to see him, so I flagged it down. He thought, I asked him where we could get some telephone poles. He said we might be able to reach out to Franklin Telephone, and you know they might donate them, or typically they charge like $100 or $150 a pole. You know, one. No, so I'm going to mention, you know, since it's really, I guess it's in your department. If we want to get some, you know, reach out to them, and I mean, but anyway, but before we do that, I'm gonna meet with the town crew to see if they have any other ideas. But basically, we just got to figure out a better way to do it because it's way too much work to try to do it the way it is. It's got a big, they devised a center pole, but then you got to lift all the sides up. I think if we just had a way to winch it, you know, somehow, it would be easier. But by the same token, there was a ball game on Thursday, and there was a ball game on Saturday, and that thing probably kept a dozen balls from landing in there. So, I mean, it could save us in the long run from, you know, I don't know what liability the town would have if a ball hit some kid in the head while playing on the playground. So, anyway, long story short, they're working on it. We'll continue to explore options. Other than that, general, you know, the streets are swept, the back roads, the roads in the back, you know, out in the country that are paved are clean.
Are they town boys still looking for stuff to do to fill their time?
No, I think they're at the end of that.
Okay.
I mean, maybe, you know, a day project here, a day project there. Today's weather actually was perfect for them to do the cleanup at the hockey stick factory because they could stay in their vehicles, you know, or in the excavator to do it.
Yeah.
But no, I think they mentioned in a week or so or 2 days, you know, they'll be, you know, fully grading, doing their ditch work, prepping for paving.
Okay.
I mean, but there might be, if you have some stuff, there might be some
It's just that piece of property that.
behind the ambulance station.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can mention that. Other than that, I think that's it.
Okay. Sherry.
First of all, I'll start by, can you let them know thank you for doing all the stuff at the town hall that I asked them to? It was great. And then
Did Jason get all the railings made that you needed?
Yeah, he said everything was done, right?
Yeah.
Yep, I haven't actually toured the building, I didn't get a chance to today, I will be doing it tomorrow. But, yeah, he said everything was done on the list, so. I have, Bobby Peters coming to do the boiler room to get that secured for fire.
Okay.
So that's being taken care of, and then D&D is supposed to be taking care of all the lights, and that's all the fire marshal had, so. A couple of pipes that need a cap on them that are not in use, but that's what the plumbing inspector wanted.
You know, the fire marshal has to come back and re-inspect.
No, he said he was fine.
Okay.
Just take care of it. And he gave me plenty of time to take care of it, because he knows it's all budget stuff too, some of it. So some of the quick stuff is not a bad thing, but some of it's a little bit heftier. And then the bank should be all done. They're supposed to open today. I didn't go down.
Well, they're not opening today, but they're getting everything situated, they're still having some issues.
Oh, there, okay.
So they have not had a defined.
Official opening.
They do not
Okay.
have an official opening yet, but they're.
Yeah. So I know they were
moving things in
talking
and
May
they're
first, they were hoping for May first, I just
They
didn't get
do
a
not.
chance to get down there.
Okay.
They're,
So no projected soft opening or?
no, not yet.
Okay, let's tell me about the issues.
It's like their own, like
Oh,
security.
technical
Yeah, it's
security.
nothing, it's
Oh,
nothing
the
from
security.
us.
Okay,
No, it's nothing to do with
Right.
us. Yeah, it's just their own tech side
Yeah.
that they need to iron out some
the
details.
security guy, putting up cameras and stuff.
On it.
See, the guy's off, the guy's off.
Scared me.
Working on that.
He had fallen off a ladder and got hurt, so, when he was putting some of the stuff up, so he had to bring an assistant, so, yeah. So that was one of the things, I was wondering if it was gonna happen or not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I don't think it's an issue of getting the stuff that's installed, I think it's not working properly.
Oh, okay,
That was the last I heard was from.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't got that.
Going, like I said, they're trying to get some of the issues worked out through the system, yeah.
Okay. Okay, and besides that, I didn't really have much of those because they're on my list. I forgot everything.
The boiler.
The boiler, yeah, the post office, the post office boiler blew. So we've got them some heaters because it was so really cold in the building, so damp. So it was I think $100 a piece for the electric heaters. Timmy had a small one in his office, but I gave approval and had Thomas go down and grab a couple of room heaters. So they have those going right now. I did get a quote from John Mercy, it's about $15,000 for a new boiler installed, but I think this might be a good time for maybe looking into some of the other options for heating over there. But it has to be steam, cause everything's set up for steam.
Okay.
So I don't know if pellets go steam or wood chips can go steam. I'm not sure on that. I called Efficiency Vermont. She called me back, I called her back. So I think we're on the second or third phone call back and forth. We can't seem to catch up with each other.
I think
She has some ideas, she
the
said.
mill
so.
went over to propane to get their steam, so, and that's why they put that big 30,000 gallon tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The company that does the big like factory size or building size, is Tarm out of Orford, New Hampshire. So you could look them up and see if they do wood pellets. So I mean, if it's if it's competitive, it'd be nice to buy right local. If it's not competitive, it might not.
Or say police building, the new one in St. Albans is wood chip or
I think that's pellets.
pellet coming right out of that big steel tank right into a boiler for that building.
Yeah. So I mean,
They're out of where?
Yep, comes right out of the
Orford,
green
New
side.
Hampshire. So you could look up Tarm, Orford, New Hampshire, and
TAN. Okay, so that was one thing. The hot water tank's been replaced because of course that blew right off. So, the ramp's been good. The guys went over from the town and fixed the end of it to get us through. Some compacting, was it pellet, keystone kind of stuff, yeah. That packable driveway stuff.
Yeah.
So they got that in there, that's working good, cause the cement ramp hooked to it won't work because people trip over it for the stairs, so. It seems to be working good, looked good. They did a really good job, Michael and Thomas cleaning up the downstairs in the basement. getting that already. That all looks really good down there. I was pretty surprised by that. It's awesome. I don't think there's really anything else.
Okay.
Trying to think of it.
Water and sewer, they did the readings, bills will be coming out here shortly. We've got some meters that we're gonna have to replace. I talked to Jeremy today, it sounds like we're out of replacements. He's gonna have to order some, he's getting an estimate for that right now. Over the weekend, I had a report of a fire hydrant on Highland Avenue that was loose, you could shake it, but he went and checked that out, and it sounds like it was pushed or something with snow throughout the season, it just loosened it up, it's functional. And we have it's a shear kit, basically for the fire hydrant down at the wood chip plant, had been hit second time now. That's gonna be replaced, and Jerry's looking into putting some poles next to the hydrant to prevent it being hit again, to get the cost on that. And there's one other hydrant that they gotta raise down on the corner of Home Street and Noyes Street. Home Street and Noyes Street. It's short, it's basically, it's like that off the ground, it's supposed to be so far up, so we're not putting our equipment in the dirt, so. Alan, we had a meeting, was it last Thursday, was it? Yeah. So that's still ongoing, do you wanna comment?
I guess we're gonna have to put that in Word ourselves,
I did
something you can,
follow up. I saw Beth O'Brien on Saturday. She said she would check. I'll double check with her again. She said the kid was working on it, but I don't know how much longer. I mean, I'll double check. Tell her you want me to tell her full press is on and give her a day? Like, you need it by this or don't bother.
at this point, it's gonna start holding us up, so I'm thinking we just do it ourselves. If you want me to do it, Mike, I'll come in and,
Yeah, we can work on that.
yeah.
Okay.
Cause we gotta, and, we're close to being done the water, we've got a couple more policies to write, but then we've gotta do the sewer. And I think we're gonna have, probably a few more policies with sewer than we have with water. Because right now, there's some policies that don't exist, so we're gonna have to create them, but yeah, it's coming.
Did you wanna have a meeting this Thursday? I know Kylie mentioned that she didn't think she could make it.
Our next meeting is the one that probably really need her because it's to do with the money part. So.
Okay. So,
She said would it be like a Wednesday that would work for her, or?
she did not say.
Well, I'll ask her.
Okay.
I can send out an email back next meeting.
Alright, that's all I have.
Do you want to follow up on the last thing? The water bill from last time that we tabled, so we could look at the meeting minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, the one on.
Yes, the one that like $4 or $5 or $7,000 bill, whatever it was. So I mean, you had a proposal. I think you mentioned when we talked.
Yes.
Well, I think what I was thinking with that one is one of the policies or rules we're putting into the updated water rules is going to deal with how this board is going to treat when people have water leaks, significant water leaks.
Yes.
what I was thinking with doing with that one was maybe not applying the new policy to it, but from a numbers standpoint, trying to have the same effect as what the new policy would have in terms of I think we need to collect enough between the base and the usage to cover our normal fees, and then collect enough from the property owner in terms of additional usage to cover the cost to the town of treating the water, which would put us in the position of being able to provide some relief to the homeowner while at the same time not creating additional costs to the other property owners in town. And I wasn't thinking of applying the tiered system we're looking at to that, coming up with the same effect from a financial standpoint. And I don't recall the details of that one. So honestly, I don't recall what we would need to collect from the homeowner to cover our costs and how much relief we might be able to provide. But I think on that one too, there was some previous delinquencies that we wouldn't wanna provide any relief,
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what we had discussed, but I thought like the number that you had thrown out was like giving them like a $900 break or something when we were discussing it, just you and I, one day.
It was before the special meeting, I walked in on the end of the
Yeah.
session.
drawing board.
So you want to table that until we can get the exact details?
Yeah, because I don't remember,
Okay. Alrighty. So can you bring that up as a reminder next time, or put it on, set it for the agenda next time?
sure.
So just make sure we have all the details so we can decide.
I did actually have one more thing I needed to bring up. It's my hot button topic of the day, and I can't believe I forgot it. So back in November, I was approached about putting a gate at the end of the McAllister Road by the property owner because of trash dumping, and we'd given approval to do so, contingent on agreement, signed agreement with all parties, all landowners, and I think we had said, they could lock it, but we had to have a copy, we had to have a, key for fire or say. It seems like, we might have been in the wrong in saying they could lock it, but it was brought to my attention today that the gate went up, and one of the landowners came this weekend and was unable to get to his property and knew nothing about the gate being put up. So spoke with that individual, quite upset, understandably, and I spoke to the leasee of the Blair property, and he indicated that was a courtesy, he didn't need to. His attorney says it's not a town road, and he doesn't need to have any permissions to do that. So I'm in the process of trying to figure that out. Before this meeting, Michael and Andy were looking at the town map. What's posted on our website and what's on our town wall here appears to have it being classified as a driveway, and the listers were telling me it's a class 4 road. So I got to figure out where the truth lies. And I mean, I guess even if it's a driveway, you can't restrict somebody's access to the driveway. But I think, whether it's a driveway or a road, how you approach it is different. I'm guessing. So I guess we have that potentially on the horizon to deal with. If the landowners do not work it out, I guess. So just to put that out there.
So is that right away through there, are you saying?
Well, if it's a town road,
Right,
you can't prohibit access to it. I mean, I think we were making like, all right, there's only 2 property owners that own property down there. So that as long as they agreed to having that,
But one didn't agree because he didn't even know about it.
yeah. So there is a law that says the town can allow with select board approval, which we granted, to pen it, but it also, they call it a pen road, basically. It's something that they created way back when to keep farm animals from crossing. But they also said it could be used in modern age to kind of try to restrict ATV and snowmobile or, type thing. But it says in the statute, that it cannot be locked, unlocked the gate. So that's where we might have, overstepped in granting that. So, I mean, in theory, they can access it from the other way, but it's a lot longer road to get to their property. It's probably, I'm not saying I know the distances, but it could be the difference between a quarter mile and half a mile to their property if they had to go from off the actual Benson Road that exists now. So
did the other property owner get a key?
he has a key, but he doesn't want it to be locked. So, but the person that put the gate up says it's going to be locked. So.
But does the other person have a right of way through that driveway?
Well, I mean, it's on the. I mean, it doesn't say whose driveway it is. It's just listed on the map as a driveway. So I'm
Right.
assuming. I mean, you
'Cause
can't
like
you can't landlock somebody.
Right, and like my land, we have 2 other parcels behind us,
Yeah.
but it's only the one driveway. If I put a gate up and lock it,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
it's the right of way. I can't do that legally.
But I mean,
Legally,
I mean,
right of ways you can't block.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. I mean, have you ever dealt with anything like that, Alan?
I mean, I don't think we can lock it if it's a class 4 road.
But I mean, if it's a driveway, I mean,
If it's a driveway with a
how do you-
right of way through it, you can't lock it either.
That's what I'm saying. I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, how do you find out which it is? I mean,
Is there anything in the deed that shows
no,
that it's
but,
right?
no, but I mean, we should. I mean, that's what we're putting out to the public. Is on the zoning page, there's the road atlas.
We have our highway maps from the state of Vermont with all the classes on them.
Okay, and was that something we can access like publicly?
Oh yeah, it's in bold.
No, okay, but I meant like on the
Online.
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 Because I mean, what we're putting out online looks like a driveway. I mean,
It
again,
might not be online, but I know we have it. It's from the state
Yeah.
Department of Transportation with all our classes and
okay.
Kylie's got
Alright,
that.
so I'll have to I'll do some additional work and follow up on it.
Here's what I found.
I don't know what's here.
Anyway, so that's my hot burning topic of the day.
Alright, so water and sewer is done, parks, playgrounds, cemeteries report.
Not much to report, I think like you said, ball games have started down in the field. I did stop in and talk with Kylie, last week just about, cleaning up the parks. And she said that nobody's really, I guess it's not really anybody's job to clean up the parks, there's nobody that has that actual responsibility to clean up the parks. So I'm just curious, she had mentioned that you were working with a gentleman that needed some community service hours. If that was something maybe me and you could kind of facilitate,
Yeah,
and I can.
I know there's a big pile of garbage on the other
Yes.
side of the other side of the town.
Garbage you're talking.
On the
Yes.
other side of the
Okay, not debris from
is
whatever.
that a pump station or a generator down there?
I don't know what it is, but yeah.
Right next to the basketball court down there, the playground. There's a
Well, it's a sewer pump.
yeah, right behind that building there. There's
Garbage. I got a couple pictures from people that
Okay.
showed that there's some garbage, and she said that John's responsible for picking up the garbage in the parks, but I said, but who's responsible, the garbage cans, but
Who's
who's
responsible
responsible
for-
for picking up the garbage? And she really couldn't name someone that's responsible for
Right.
that. So I don't know if that's something that the town, the road crew would be responsible for. I'm just kind of thinking out loud, but she
Okay.
had mentioned, the gentleman that you're working with for
Yep.
community service hours, that maybe we could get him to, bag up some garbage down there. Especially at the ball field area.
Be a good week to do it, clean up day.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could do it on Green Up Day too.
yeah. So, I mean, if you want to get me in touch with him, I can kind of oversee some of that if he still needs, I don't know how many hours he's
Right,
in need of, but, if you wanna.
he has quite a few, but we can talk.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you wanna just kind of give me a heads up on that. We did get the dog bags out in the parks.
Perfect.
Actually, been tomorrow?
And then,
I don't
one
know.
question I had is, I'm seeing the graffiti in town too, and I'm just wondering who is responsible for cleaning up. There's graffiti now on the wall right by the Dollar General, and then there's a graffiti on the sign, the winter sign as you come into town.
Yep.
That, talks about our winterization, stay off the roads from the state to the state for parking.
That's
So,
pretty.
yeah, I don't know if we need to order a new one of those signs, or if, how, like when the Richford town, I don't know, a couple years ago, Welcome to Richford sign had some graffiti on it.
Yes,
What did we do about that?
I think, Linda order a new one from Graphic. They came and put a new facing on it or something, or they cleaned it up.
Yeah, I think they replaced it, I really.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
But as far as the road sign that has spray painted, I'm not sure if you have a way to clean them or if you guys have to replace them.
Probably replace them, because I'm guessing it's not.
It'd be,
Rubbish spray paint.
Yes, on your way into coming in.
take
Yeah.
longer to try to clean it off than it would to actually replace the.
Yeah.
And then who owns that stone wall? Do we own that stone wall in front of the Dollar General? It's just such an eyesore.
John Weatherby does, I believe, 'cause that's
I'm
on
gonna
his
say John
property.
said that they spray painted his wall
Yeah.
when I talked to him.
So is
So-
that on the owner, on the landowner to clean
It
up?
could be, or we could get hold of the school and see if something with the school would wanna come down and paint it. It's a special project.
That would have to be up to John, cause John owns
Yep,
land.
that's what I mean, you could touch
I
bases
could
with
talk to
John and then go from there, and if it's something he's agreeable with, talk to the school with that, then see if there's someone or an artist child or something would like to do some type of picture or whatever on there. Who knows?
Yeah.
That was all part of the Main Street scaping,
Right.
right,
Could
having
use
some
some
nice
murals.
murals.
Yep.
And if that's something John would allow, why not?
And Nick did go down and turn on the water down there.
Perfect.
I know that Kylie was also working with the athletic director to possibly make some room in the rec building, so that they could open that up and start like selling
Food and stuff, that'd be
food and
nice.
stuff out of there. So I know Kylie was working with
Cool.
them on that.
All we got?
Nothing?
Kristen?
That's it, thanks.
All right, other business, is there anything else that needs to be discussed? Hearing none, I get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I thought you were coming up with something else.
I was trying to get plenty of time.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
I
Aye.